Officer since 2016. His duty is to ensure that all Ariane Group products are dually cyber protected with respect to both state-of-the-art protection and with respect to customers' expectations. He worked as program product security architect on large French MOD program for 5 years. And now, as product security officer, he works in Ariane Group General Inspection underneath the company CTO, and as such defines the company policy in terms of product security in close relationship with the CISO actions on the company infrastructure ecosystems. Welcome, Olivier.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to say that this presentation, in fact, I've already presented in some other another context, so sorry for if you've already seen it. However, in fact, I've been asked to replay it for CYSAT. So welcome on board. So as the introduction said, in fact, I'm product security officer for Ariane Group, and let's start with what it means basically, and what Ariane Group is doing in terms of launchers, in terms of security for the launchers. So I will try to help you understand the main benefits and the main stakes, in fact, we have to deal with on the launcher side. So just to begin with, in fact, I will just tell you some few words on Ariane Group in case somebody wouldn't know it. However, I wouldn't be long. And I will straight go to the context of Ariane 6 so that, in fact, you have all the picture and see the various tenets, I would say, of the other presentation. So, Ariane Group Essential, who we are basically building some launchers, of course, either some civil or defense ones. I won't go on defense ones for today, of course. And we are a joint venture between Airbus and Safran, 50-50. That's for the basic ID of the company. And we are 8,000 of us. That's it. This being done, I told you it was short. I told you that I am the product security officer, so I just have to mention what is a product. A product is any item we deliver to our customer. An item is either a launcher, make it civil or military, or some kind of infrastructure such as the space surveillance awareness, that kind of things. And by definition, a product, in fact, is something we don't have anymore at hand. It has been delivered, and therefore it's not in contact with our own infrastructure. So there are plenty of stuff, in fact, we have to embed within the product so that it can defend itself from the threats. Okay? However, the product is not before being sold and before being delivered. In fact, it's in our premises, and therefore we have to work hand to hand with the three pillars. One pillar is product security, of course. Second pillar is the corporate security, and third is the information security. And all the three of us, in fact, we are three of us dealing each of one pillar. In fact, all the three of us, in fact, have to have confidence in the others, so that, in fact, in order to build some product in which I have confidence in terms of threats, protections, I have to have confidence that the company infrastructures are safe either. Okay. That's why, in fact, we are all working as one in terms of product security. The context of Ariane 6. Ariane 6 is not flying yet. First flight is due by the end of this year. However, with respect to Ariane 5 or other competitors, you saw some SpaceX launches recently. In fact, what are our key differentiator? I'm sorry. So this is one launcher, but it has several versions: short or long fairing, 2 or 4 boosters. And it has, in fact, a capability to set some payloads into orbit, very, I would say, versatile. So I don't know whether you are still interested in that. However, the objective is to say that the launcher itself has been designed for being flexible. Flexible in terms of missions, flexible in terms of payloads, flexible in terms of orbit. That's for the publicity. So, however, the launcher itself is only one part of the puzzle. I mean, we have, first of all, the launch base, on which we will find other launchers, for instance, Soyuz, or former Soyuz, I mean. We will also have some Vigor, we have some Ariane 5 launch pad. So we have many things but the launcher. So the launch base is operated by CNES, and they are responsible for setting up the entire environment of the launch system. Then we get closer to the launcher with what we call the launch system. You will find the very well-known control room, which is called Jupiter, and this is the point where everything converges on the launch. So you have the payloads, so you have the satellites, you have the launchers, you have everything all around the launchers, the weather forecast, all the facilities, in fact, are communicating with that. And finally, of course, you have the launcher. So the launcher itself is only part of the puzzle, as I said. It's only one piece of the puzzle. So the security of the launcher depends on the security of the launch system, which also depends on the security of the launch base. So as you can see, in fact, it's not all alone, and this is end-to-end security we have to ensure. The context. The threat landscape, in fact, is I would say, quite easy to understand. So either we have some state-sponsored team, either we have some competitors, think of SpaceX, for instance, or we can have ransomware. So this is only few samples of our threats, and threats can be very numerous. So this is the very easiest one to tackle. The aim could be either to fail the flight. That's easy. They can send anything, or they can prevent us from sending anything into space, for whatever reason. Either they are activists, either they are, I would say, bad competitors, etc., etc. So, for any reasons. Or they may want us to destroy some very critical infrastructure, such as the launch pad. Destroying a launch pad, in fact, would prevent from launching for quite a while. So that's a critical infrastructure also. Or just for the fun of it, getting some ransom in order to getting some money by preventing us from launching. So again, this is only samples, only illustrations. The launcher by itself is made of plenty of things. It has some software, so you can understand that software may be operating systems, firmwares, can be programmable components, they can be also some software development environment. This is very critical. So in order to have confidence in the software, we have to have confidence in the software development environment, of course. You also have some communication links, so uplink, downlink. You have to handle everything which has to do with the trajectography. On the last SpaceX, for instance, they were very keen on mastering the trajectography of their launch. That's I would say usual, and that's mandatory. We also have to protect the launcher itself in terms of being, I would say, targeted by some malicious people, physically. I mean, so we have to protect the launcher, but also the ground means. So all the cabinets on the grounds, in fact, also have to be protected. So you can find any wires, you can find many things. As long as the product itself is not yet delivered, in fact, it also has some links with the company, infrastructure. So again, in order to have confidence in my launcher, I have to have confidence in the company infrastructure. And on the other hand, in order to allow for a connection to a launcher infrastructure to the company infrastructure, I have to have confidence in my launcher so that I won't endanger the company infrastructure itself. I also have some test benches. Everything also has to be organized, and therefore you have some procedures to operate the launcher, but you also have some procedures to operate the security of the launcher, or the launch system, or the launch base. You have some equipments that have to be tackled and that have to be protected. You have some data, of course, and operations and integrated launch support. Everything has to be protected. How do we operate that? So the operations itself, what we call operation, is starting quite a while before the real launch, the actual launch. By designing the missions, what do we have to launch, where, with on which orbit, on which quality of the orbit, etc. And therefore, we start up with a software production environment, and we have to produce on demand the flight software. So, in fact, depending on the mission, in fact, we have a common base for all the software, but we have to, I would say, tackle and to customize the software so that it realizes the mission as expected. So this is obviously right beforehand of the launch itself. We have many other things, we have many other operations that are at stake at that moment. Then the operation also lasts after the launch, because we have to analyze the flight, how it did well or not, what are the consequences of the data we have received, etc. So we have to analyze it so that, in fact, we won't repeat a mistake again and again. The operation is also everywhere in terms of validation. We have to also onboard security everywhere. So during validation, during rehearsal, during MAIT. MAIT stands for Manufacturing, Assembly, Integration and Test. And all the operations that are trying to set the launcher. And of course, we are mentioning again the development environment and the supply chain. So end-to-end security embraces all. Manufacturing, in fact, if I just give you some few examples, we have to deal with some people which are not computer programmers, neither security engineers. So they have to run some specific machinery. They have to operate some machinery in order to produce some stuff. We have to have confidence in the vehicles here. We are manipulating things that are huge, that may be dangerous, as you can see here, for instance. So we have to take care of not only the piece of elements we are working on, but also with the security. Second kind of profiles, of security profiles, in fact, we also have some pieces that are coming all around from Europe. So as soon as they will join in Kourou, they have to be handled, they have to be checked, they have to be tested somewhere. So every time security is at stake again. And then comes the very last moments of the launch itself. So at that time, in fact, there is a change of paradigm. On the one hand, during MAIT, time is critical, but we are talking about days, basically. So what if questions are, what if we have an attacker that would have corrupted our computers, etc. We have time to think. The launcher is not dangerous at that time, and unless we have some delays in our product, that's okay. I mean, however, when we are in chronology, when you have the final countdown, time is getting short. In fact, you have to think in terms of reactions you have, and the launcher at that time is dangerous in terms of being capable to explode or something like this. So we have to have what-if questions that are very straightforward, smart, and on which we have an answer. So we have, as I said, various profiles. So we have various perception of the security from operators, and we have various live faces on which the questions are not the same, and the reaction from cybersecurity are not the same. So we have to handle both. So it's a kind of 3D matrix, in fact, as a Rubik's Cube, in fact, where you have several stakes to handle. So the end-to-end security, of course, from an operator point of view, in fact, security is always complex. So we don't need security. It's always they say that they don't need security. It's always a burden. They are fed up with password. They are fed up with many things. So they don't want it, of course. Teamwork. So one of the motto is also to say we have to work together. Security prevents us from doing this. You at security cannot understand our business. That's something you already heard that. They want also to have free access to all data. So whatever the person who is producing the data, they want to share everything to everything, from everybody to everybody. So of course, within security, we love having things really targeted to people. So that's why, in fact, we also ensure that all data we get in or out from the system, in fact, are mastered. They want, of course, some Wi-Fi everywhere. So because they have some laptops, they have some PCs. So they want things that are used, I would say, on their day-to-day life. They don't want to have security burdens on top of that. Again, this is the voice of our customer, basically, not customer, but I would say user operators. And last but not least, they are oftenly saying that we have been operating launches from many years, and it's why is it worth having some securities now? Of course, other times other way of doing things. So what we did is to perform some integrity checks. So this doesn't bother people because it appears ahead of the launch, ahead of the operation. So this is something we can do and perform, I would say, out of time. So operators do not see that. So they are not, it's not a burden for them. Again, we also, of course, provided some computer hardening. Again, this is not something they are, I would say, getting against because they couldn't see it, because they are used to use captive MMI. So if the computer is hardened or not, they cannot see it anymore. So for them, it's exactly the same as if they were operating, I would say, a normal machine. So computer hardening has been made transparent to them. Again, when we want to use and to exchange some data, we provide them. Is there any problem? Windows. Did I do something wrong? No, I can touch it. Great, thank you very much. So again, we also made security transparent to users and to architects, to the system architects, so that in fact we have as a security engineers, in fact we have the need to observe the data flux from machine to machines. And therefore we used things and elements that are at the same quality of the functional stuff. I mean, we have observation that is fail-safe and fail operation. So that in fact we have the exact same reliability as the functional hardware and the functional normal other hardware. I mean, that's a key point here. Data insertion and extraction, as I said, in fact we made it simple. So only very, very, very few machines are able to import and out and export some data. And this is well accepted by operators because we made it very simple on our booth, in fact, so that they don't have to ask themselves any questions. They go to the booth, they insert the data is filtered out and is checked, and that's it. And if the booth is out of order, it's not an issue. It works again. It works in terms. I mean, the system will work without it. So you can destroy the data insertion booth. It's not an issue. So that's why, in fact, we made some this kind of thing in order to master what data is introduced and where. What big things here, but what a big thing here is that we, as security engineers, we segregated roles. This is very obvious for us, but it's not obvious for the functional team. And we made this very transparent to them, so that in fact, it's also a matter of having one dedicated team on board and within the functional team while setting up the launch. And that's it. So for them, for the entire operation crew, in fact, it's only having one additional person during the launch. Of course, security protocols have been set everywhere, so that in fact, this is state-of-the-art security. So it's not an issue, it's not a brand new thing. It's just people are not aware of the protocol, underlying protocols underneath. Real pain points are still passwords, of course. Passwords are easy to understand and easy to manage using some directory or LDAP server, or you name it, and it's transparent to operators. What about on equipments that are not connected to the directory is a real pain. So either we go for post-it, I don't like it. Either if we go for that for KeePass, etc. But in any case, this is something we have to handle, and it's very difficult to handle it, I would say, smoothly with the users and operators. So one alternative is to go passwordless or to use biometrics, but none of those solutions are satisfactory. Our way ahead. I mean, the key point on this slide, in fact, is that we have to make sure that the people who are performing the cybersecurity and the administration of the bench during a launch understand what it's all about, a launch. I mean, they have to understand the business of performing a launch. They have to understand what is performed with the bench itself, what is the criticality of those operations from a functional point of view. So they have to understand this business. They have to obviously understand their own job in terms of security, in terms of administration, etc. So this is a kind of dual-headed, I mean, knowledge. Yes, operators, in fact, are now accepting their name being, I would say, recorded by the system, so that in fact we, as security engineers, can perform some traceability of who's performing what, of course, and in fact it's a relief for them. The point is also that I mean, we have succeeded in making people, operators, understand what is security and what are the stakes of cybersecurity for the bench. So that's the major milestones in fact we have reached. As a conclusion, the system is yet young, of course, and we have no yet lessons learned. So we have to also operate the system itself on the long run. So the history is not yet over. However, as a security team, I mean, we have to understand the business, as I said, and we expect from operators to understand what is cyber and what is the stake of cyber. On the other hand, we as cyber, we have to understand their business and we have to understand their constraints. We have to understand what they are doing with these systems. So in fact, this is the only way that we can operate safely and in security. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvain, for the nice presentation. We have this question from Benjamin. So did you notice an increase in threats targeting Ariane and your supply chain right after Russia invaded Ukraine back to February 2022?
I fear I won't be able to answer the questions. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, no problem. So is there any question from the audience? Yes.
So I don't know if you can answer that question either, but since Russia left Kourou, does that change the cybersecurity measures that you're going to apply since they left? Like, what happens for the security of the Soyuz launchpad and infrastructure?
As I said, in fact, the security of the launchpad, etc., is not my business. It's the business of CNES. So I invite you to ask a question to CNES. However, from a cyber security point of view of the launcher itself, the security have not been changed, because in fact we already considered a state-sponsored attack, and therefore this is of no impact on us yet.